So I've selected the box that I'm going to send the plants in, and in the best will in the world, couriers, especially in these sort of times, perhaps can take best care of your materials coming through their hands. So just make sure that the box is taped up. Avoid mishaps. So I always seal the edges and across the top. 3 lots of tape. And that's the crucial thing in this job. And times I've done this and not done the bottom of the box, put the plants in, and then suddenly realised I've still got to seal the bottom of the box up. So that's the box I'm proposing to send this lot of plants in, and you'll see how we go to the next step on that one as we go along. So these are the plants that I'm sending in this order. You'll notice I've got multiples of different plants here. I only actually need 1 plant passport per variety, so those are duly been filled out and stuck on the front of the pots. Right, I always like to make sure, especially as we start getting into the warmer summer months, that the plants are actually well watered. It does add weight to the parcel, hence another reason for having a really well secured box at the bottom. But the other problem, of course, when you've got sort of quite damp pots, is leakage of water. I'm afraid I don't make any apologies for using some plastic, because I'd sooner the plants get to the destination without the box having a soggy bottom and actually having dropped the plants. So every plant gets a good cling film in round. Now sometimes some of the plants we send are not always fully rooted through, or the compost is a bit loose. So sometimes, occasionally, where I've got that sort of situation, I will put sellotape just across the top to stop compost leakage. Right, so now we've got the bottom of the pots all sort of hopefully waterproofed. The next thing is to actually make sure that they can travel safely in a box. Now, sideways movement is fine, because you can usually pack around the pots and actually stop them from moving anyway, sort of right sideways. But what happens when the courier comes with your box, despite having this way stickers up on them, he turns around and does that. And you can imagine the resultant catastrophe. So one measure we take is actually every plant gets a cane in it, and that cane is actually the height of the box. Now obviously a cane like that, and then the courier turns it upside down, probably will go right through the box after several sort of thumps and bangs and everything. So we actually turn round and put a little protector on the pot, like so. And then that will go into the plant, making sure it actually goes right down to the bottom of the box. And then the plant is placed within the box like that. And you can see that sitting up nice and proud. so that when that goes down, it'll actually make quite a firm holding there for the plant to stay there. So I've got that procedure now to perform with all the rest of these plants. And then you wonder why postage and packaging is actually quite expensive. Well, actually, probably most nurseries are running the postage and packaging at a loss. There's obviously time involved, there's obviously all the materials involved, but we have to get around this Amazon attitude where Amazon can do it for so much, so why can't you? Well, we've got things of a variable height, variable sizes, and we have to make sure they are as secure as possible. You can imagine if we started wrapping sort of all this sort of bubble wrap and stuff around them, the plants would sweat, they wouldn't appreciate it. I like it so there is some open air in the box, and well, there we are. So next time you sort of look at something and you think, oh gosh, postage is expensive, think of the time that's been involved. And we want our plants to get there safely, without too much damage, and we'll put the time in, we'll put the materials in, and hope you appreciate the results. Right, as you can see, at a squeeze I've managed to get all of the pot plants in this box, but I've got one problem. Two of the plants, because of sort of squeezing in, are standing a little bit proud of the bottom of the box, so hence my stick is sort of sticking up there in the box. That means I've just got to take it out, trim the bottom off it, and then put it back in the pot, so that hopefully bring all those sticks and things coming to the right level and securing the plants. This bit I'm not really worried about. Cirsium rubeola, it's a very, very flexible plant. It's not going to come to any harm for just being bent over and put in there. I do have a solution to sort of stop a little bit of sort of plant rubbing, which we'll come to in a few minutes. All the sticks trimmed, and you come down to the level of the edge of the box, and you can see just nicely at the top of the box. So next stage is the little trick we have to stop a lot of that sort of rub. Karen's took over the holding of the camera now, so it might be a little bit steadier. Now, because we are farmers, we do have access to this lovely material called straw. So I take these cirsiums down to so far, and then I put a nice protective layer of straw there on the top, so that when these are there in the box, they're not going to be rubbing against the top of the box when they're moving, and I can just nicely bend them down and just put a nice little bit of a layer of straw on the top. That's quite sufficient just to stop that friction and rubbing. The end of it, even if those bits of plant are damaged, it does no harm to sort of just trim them off when you get them. That's a plant that will turn around and just flower its socks off. Most of the summertime, in fact sometimes I've had it in the garden flowering right through till through to December with some deadheading. Right, final step. People know they've ordered from us, so I don't usually put a leaflet for the nursery in, because the labels have our nursery name, telephone number, email, well, web address, but a society that's really important to us as nurseries and customers, HPS. In goes their little leaflet. Check that's all right. Hold the box. Now this is the bit that always scares everybody in the nursery, because I do that, and if I can feel any movement, the box gets opened up again and checked for anything that's just not quite right. So next step, as with the bottom of the box, three strips across the top. Way across that, fold the corners in, and then bring strip round the side, a strip over the top. Another shake, yeah, I'm reasonably happy with that. So that's that stage. Next stage, getting the measurements of the box and weight. And you can see typical nurseryman, all the rubbish and culture in the way, so you've got to clear it out of the way for a start. Weighing machine on, plant across. Now usually the couriers go up to the nearest kilogram, so that's 12.148, so that will be booked in as a 13 kilogram box. Next thing, tape measure. Now actually, because these are pre-bought in boxes, I actually know the size. That's 47 by 47 by 47, but sometimes we have to adapt with different plants, and sometimes it's some recycled cardboard box, so we've made sort of something that's not a standard sort of size, but the measurements have to be put down. Usually I have a pencil which I write on the order. By the way, this is not Blue Peter, so it's not a case of here's one I made earlier. So, size goes down. And the weight. So that's ready for me to enter onto the booking site, but what I'll do, I'll pack all the rest of these wonderful plants up for all those wonderful customers that are supporting us, and then I'll sit at the computer and book everything in. Right. One little thing that we do before we wrap the plastic round the pot is to make sure we've got no slugs, snails, taking a little trip to other parts of the country, because obviously they're like in-flight meals, and there's nothing worse when you put something in a box and then people get the other end and then they say something's eaten your plants. So the crucial thing before we wrap everything up is check under the pot rim, check the bottom. And those of you who are a bit squeamish because there's a slug here, don't look, but one slug disposed of. So, that procedure with all our pots, See, I've only found one slug so far, so that's good news. Also, it's well worth just checking the surface because that's where the slugs like to hide as well. This is quite a nice, interesting little plant from Chile, the Zuriaga radicans. Evergreen, so far proving hardy for us for about the last 7 or 8 years. Not a very heavy grower, but quite rewarding this time of year with these lovely little white flowers. And those of you who know me probably know I'm very obsessed with aspidistras. Always pleased when somebody orders an aspidistra or two. This one is Aspidistra tonkinense, quite sort of tall, long petioles with quite narrow lance-type leaves on them. Podophyllum peltatum. I'm doing an edge there and actually looking at a label and I shouldn't need to do that, but there we are. Nice little woodlander, quite attractive palmate leaves at the top, and then these amazing flowers this time of year. And actually quite a good little doer. Once you get one of these going in the garden, if it's in good woodland conditions, will soon make a quite nice clump. And then something that's always popular this time of year, hostas, Hosta Empress Wu, reputedly the biggest hosta in the world, but no doubt they're in developing other different types, so possibly somewhere along the line it'll lose that crown. There is incidentally another hosta we do, which is a hybrid from that, which is Hosta Wu La La, which has lovely variegated edges on it.